Hey, this is BA, and welcome to WD GANN Deep Insight. What we're going to be taking a look at here is a part in Gann's book, The Tunnel Through the Air, that I think has very quickly gets the reader to a level of deep insight into what his true techniques are. Now, I know that our focus here is on the FOREX markets and stuff, but what we're going to be reviewing today directly has an effect on the Forex, even though, of course, Gann doesn't talk about its effect on the Forex. Let's get started. There's one part of W.D. Gann's book, The Tunnel Through the Air, that really stands out, even in the beginner. It provides deep insight into what W.D. Gann was actually doing. Let's review it here. It starts on page 370. He then wondered when the war would end. He knew that Daniel's 70 weeks indicated the end in 1932. Now, as we were talking about the war, if you've seen my other videos, you know the war in the back of this book is the war between the bulls and the bears. It's the stock market, because there was no war in 32, and he wasn't trying to predict a war in 1932. Or about 3.5 years from the time that the war first broke out in Europe in 1928. He read Daniel 7:12. As concerning the rest of the beasts, they had their dominion taken away, yet their lives were prolonged for a season and time. Now, everyone knows Gann used seasons. And again, the 25th verse, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time's time and the dividing of time. He had proved by studying, comparing past cycles, that a time or a season referred to in the Bible meant 360 days, 360 years, or 360 degrees. And that's very important. And that's also in tunnel. Days, degrees, and years are used interchangeably. Like, say, if someone's talking about 30 weeks, it may be 30 degrees or 30 years. A measure known and used by the astrologers in olden times and still understood and used by modern astrologers for measuring time. He knew that half a time meant 180 degrees, 180 days or years, because Ezekiel had said that the Lord had appointed a day for a year. He figured that America began with the discovery of Columbus in 1492, and then in October 1932 would be 440 years since the discovery. The measurement used throughout the Bible was by scores, and a man's span of life was 80 years and 10, and that 440 years equaled 22 scores, leaving 2 scores or 40 years more for the completion of the Jubilee years. He read Matthew 18:21 and 22. Then came Peter to him and said, Lord, how often shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus said unto him, I say unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Now, you would think that meant, that has to do with sins and I don't really have to pay attention. No, that's not how the Bible, that's not what the Bible conveys, okay? Robert figured that 70 times 7 meant 490 years, you see, from the discovery of America until we would cease fighting, forgive our brothers, and live in peace. He knew that the 7th period was also a Jubilee period, that there was a Jubilee period of 7 years at the end of each 49th year period, and that there was a great period of 49 Jubilee years at the end of the 7 times 70. That the 6th period would end in 1933, and that from 33 to 82 would be 49 years of the Great Jubilee following the end of wars in the United Kingdom of the world. He read Daniel 7:25, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time's time and the dividing of time. Then read Daniel 12:7, and I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished it, to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. He figured that a times equaled 20 years or score, and that a time's time equaled 400 years, and a half time equaled 10 years. Again, Daniel 12:11-12. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh deathless set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,305 days. 1,290 days are to be added to the time the war broke out in Europe in 1928, and the 1,335 days, being 45 days more, the blessed Jubilee days, will follow from the time the war ended in 1932 until the great celebration and signing of peace and establishing the brotherhood of man. He read Daniel 9:24. 70 weeks are determined upon thy people and upon thy holy city to finish the transgression, and to make an end of sins, and to make reconciliation for iniquity, and to bring in everlasting righteousness, and to seal up the vision and prophecy, and to anoint the most holy. Now, 70 weeks. Now, Daniel in the Bible, Daniel has his 70 weeks. Well, what's 70 weeks times 7 days in a week? It's 490 days. This again proved that 490 years from the discovery of America that there shall be an end of sins, an end of war, and of troublesome times. Ezekiel 4:5-6. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days, 390 days, so shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. And when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah 40 days. Hey, didn't some people spend 40 years in the desert? Well, I have appointed thee each day for a year. This made it plain that a day was to be used in measuring years, and that there were to be 40 days or 40 years after peace for a Jubilee period in which the sins of the past were to be atoned for. 10 years after the armistice in November 1918 would bring us to November 1928, or half a score, and from November 1928 to 1932 are indicated as troublesome times for the United States. May 1928 to July 1928 are very important and troublesome periods when the nominations for President of the United States will arouse the people and start a time of trouble. Using a time of 70 years and 10, and doubling this period, making 140 years, and adding it to 1776, the Declaration of Independence, brought us to the election of Wilson in 1916, and the war followed in 1917. The next score from this period ends in 1936. See, he's showing you here how all these larger cycles operate, okay? New York City was evacuated by the British on November 25th, 1783. If we add 3 periods of 49 years to this, it will bring 1930, the starting of the war against the United States, which ended with the final attack on New York City in 1932. Now, we talked about that in other videos. This attack on New York City was declared over on July 4th, 1932. And the Dow low was made July 8th, 1932. And the beauty of it was, tunnel was written 5 years before, you see. New York City was founded in 1614. Adding a period of 6 times 49 brings us to 1908, and adding 24 and a half years, or 1/2 the time of 49 years, brings us to 1932, when the name of the city was again changed, meaning a repetition. Now, the name of the city wasn't changed again, as we know. It's still called New York City, but it was in tunnel, okay? In 1932, at the very back of it. That's what he's talking about there. The last half of the 7th period is 49 years, or from the dividing of time, is another Jubilee period for New York City. The first English settlement in the United States was established by Raleigh at Roanoke, Virginia in 1585. Adding the 7th 49-year period to 343 years brings us to 1928, indicating more troublesome times to start. The smaller cycles in 7-year periods mentioned so often in the Bible also indicated that twice 7 or 14 years from 1914 would bring war again in 1928, and adding half a period of a cycle of 7 or 42 months would indicate the duration of the war as spoken by Daniel in the dividing of times and seasons, okay? Robert figured that after October 1932, there would only be 3 years left to prepare for the great feast of the Jubilee of the maximum period which was to follow, the establishment of the universal peace. He was very happy because he felt that we were now near the end of the war and these troublesome times. If you've gained insight from my videos, subscribe so you can get the latest on my free market calls, forecast, commentary, and teachings. I'm going to leave you with a note here. I was going to make a video on this, but I decided to put it exactly here in this video. When you think of seasons, you think of, March 2021, September 21, and so on. And those are seasons. But there's different kinds of seasons. And a season can start from a high or low, you see. A season can start from a high or low. That's a very important piece of knowledge. And knowledge is priceless. Hey, this is BA reminding you, you can succeed. Take care. Bye-bye.